North is the first full-length collection from Matchbox 20 in 10 years. Is this going to be another edition of the Rob Thomas Show, or is this going to be reminiscent of what we used to love back in the 90s from Matchbox 20? Here on WreckedRadio. Hi, I'm Jess of WreckedRadio, and we're going to be reviewing the entire album North by Matchbox 20 today. I did my review in the park yesterday. So I said these are my notes. I'll be reading off of them. Like I said, this was the first album from Matchbox 20. The band, had lots of interviews and were on the Today Show, and they talked about the new album. One thing they said, as I mentioned on WreckedRadio News last week, was that the band always believed that they were going to be coming back together for a reunion. They didn't believe that this was going to be forever, that they were going to be doing their solo projects. They were going to do their solo projects, get that out of the way, kind of find their own sound, and then come back to do the album entitled North, which that title was alluding to the direction in which they were kind of heading in, the upward direction, after they had found their own personal sounds and collabed them together into one full-length album. And that's one thing I was concerned about when I said, is this going to be the Rob Thomas Show? When Rob went on to his solo career, I followed him. I love Rob Thomas. I pretty much collected everything that he put out throughout his career, and he did a lot in helping me grow up as becoming a person. Like, he was there quite a bit. But I believe that once I got into his solo stuff, I realized how different Rob Thomas is from Matchbox 20. There's a huge difference where you listen to the theme sound of, this urban, this ska, this grungy, this dirty sound that Matchbox 20 used to have. They weren't that grungy and dirty, but they were angsty. And Rob Thomas did go on to write very much poppier stuff, much cleaner stuff, and stuff that had a lot more synthesized instruments in it than the rock band would have. But we'll talk more about that as we go through the songs. First of all, Parade was the first song by Matchbox 20. And I was very happy that this was the first song because it is very Matchbox 20. If you remember their old sound, that imagery of the parade, it kind of reminded me of the Back to Good video from their very first album. I have all their albums here, even Tablet's Secret. But I'm glad that they put this as the header to the album. The next one was their radio hit, She's So Mean. This was also very Matchbox 20, except it was much poppier. It was much more mainstream. It was so poppy, but the thing was, it was still reminiscent because it was adorable with a knife twist. Matchbox 20 wrote a couple songs about being, delirious or having a crazy girl, and this was, one to add to that collection. And it was completely fun, although it was, I guess, had negative connotations. Not negative, but, she was mean. It was still very fun, and I was okay with that it was so poppy, so catchy, because I liked it so much. I keep listening to it, and you guys can tell me what you think about that, because if somebody says that it's similar to their old stuff, I don't know what you're talking about or what you've been listening to for the last, 15 years. 15? Maybe not 15. No, that's pretty about right. Yeah. Close. The next song is probably one of my favorite songs on the entire album. It is called Overjoyed. One question that I did have about this, and I do not have the digital booklet for this review, sorry. I could not get my hands on it, so I don't know the writing credits, but it did remind me a lot of two very important songs from the previous full-length album from this, More Than You Think You Are. And those were the songs Could I Be You and Soul. The thing is, those songs, especially Could I Be You, were very heavily written by Paul Doucette. And the thing that separates Paul Doucette's writing from Rob Thomas, I believe, is that there's this humility and there's this humbleness when it comes to whoever he's talking to in the song. Rob Thomas's writing, any of the Matchbox 20 writing that you would listen to, is very it pays a lot of homage to whatever girl or whatever person that they're singing to when they're talking about a love song. That's more about love than anything. Paul Doucet, he really tends to pay respect and to put this person on a pedestal in a way that's, you know, if this was being sung to you, if this was written to you, it would be very intimate, and it kind of strips away a lot of the cliches of writing a love song and really goes to the core of somebody. I believe Paul Doucet was very successful in that. That's why this song kind of reminded me of that. Just the title Overjoyed kind of gives me, and the way it's used in the song kind of gives me that idea of how somebody can be so thankful just to spend time with another person. It's a beautiful song. Put Your Hands Up is a discotheque. It's fun and fluffy, and it's something that I just imagine playing as a transitional song at the New Year's Eve, like, you know, recorded party in New York, whatever. Our song, there were a couple songs in this album that I didn't write any material for, any notes, because I just think it was filler. I just thought it was filler. So we'll move on to I Will. I Will remind me of the Beatles song, I Will. I thought that was very funny. It's a Paul McCartney Beatles song. And I'm like, where did I hear these lyrics before? Or this, you know, it was very reminiscent of that. I don't know if the guys have been listening to the Beatles lately. I'm sure that's not the case. It's very folky. It's very beautiful. It's another one of those heartfelt songs. And now we're gonna get to English Song. And this is probably the most polarizing song on the entire album for me. I believe this song is incredibly sophisticated. But the thing is, it's where it kind of falls short of my expectations, is where, like, I have a huge problem with it. If I really do think about this song, I believe in the lyrics of this song. I believe it's kind of a brother to Back to Good, which was a song on their debut album, Yourself or Someone Like You. And Back to Good is one of my favorite songs of all time. It has so much emotion to it, and during this review of this song, I want to talk to you about what the difference is between the old Matchbox 20 and the new Matchbox 20. This has happened with a couple bands that I believe I've come across. It's happened with bands like My Chemical Romance, probably less with them, but also with Matchbox 20. And it is that I believe a lot of fandoms were created, and bands generated a lot of popularity because of this element that they had, and it was their inclusion of like the sullen. I know that Matchbox 20 was kind of a pop rock band back in the 90s, but My Chemical Romance was also popular too. Helena was on the radio. And it was top, you know, top 40, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure. But the thing is, they all changed. And why did they change? It was because their lives got better. They were writing no longer for their angst, the aggression, or the anger that they had about the world, going from bar to bar trying to play their music and get, you know, a meal the next day. They are now, they're living really happy lives. They've seen a lot of success. Played, you know, arenas, met wonderful people. A lot of them met their wives, their partners, and they are not, and like My Chemical Romance had stated, they are not angry anymore. They are not upset anymore. They are not lonely anymore. So they're not writing music for being lonely. The thing is, I think a lot of fans of My Chemical Romance, as well as a lot of different other bands and Matchbox 20, they came to love the band for the angst that they kind of related to. They found a connection with a lot of the anger. If you look at this track list here, Long Day, 3 AM Push, Girl Like That, Back to Good, Damn Are You, Cody, those Busted, Shame, Hang. If you didn't know what a lot of those songs were about, you can find the titles. They're negative songs. They were a way for Rob Thomas to get his anger out, and I think as it did go along, it really did lighten up. But it definitely did lighten up if you look at their track list. But they're really light now. They're really diet soda. Do you understand what I mean by that? They're really diet soda. If you would listen to kind of, I know exactly what part, it's like the third time the chorus is sung, and Back to Good, he's screaming, and he's shouting, and he's really angry and passionate and emotional about what he's saying. In this song, you get those similar lyrics, but by the third chorus, by the part where he's supposed to be very angry, it's just clear, it's clean. There's not much emotion that's behind it. I still feel he's very soulful, but he doesn't have that aggressive energy that he used to have. And I think a lot of people would be happy about that. Oh, he's okay. But it doesn't do a lot for the music that we're expecting. And it's terrible because Rob Thomas has gotten so much more professional when it comes to singing. He's become an amazing singer. He can hit notes on this album. That's one thing I'd like to point out too. He's hitting notes on this album that I've never heard him hit before, and I own every except for Exile. I don't know why I don't own that. It was a lot of repeated stuff. I own live versions. I've seen live versions of their stuff, their EPs, Old Tabs of Secret. I have it all. He's never hit some of these notes before, and I'm really proud of him. At the same time, we lost a lot of that dirty, angsty emotion. Tell me if you agree. How Long, I believe, is another filler. It's another pop rock gem. It's like boring. Radio, my note for that was, doesn't every band have a song called Radio? And it sounds very similar too. But one thing I did like about this song was that it had a lot of good jazzy trumpets, and that's something that's very, very not exclusive to Matchbox 20, but it definitely is their style, and I'm glad to see that. Let's go on to The Way. The Way features, correct me if I'm wrong, for the first time, Kyle Cook's voice in Matchbox 20, accompanied by Rob Thomas's voice. What I love about this is that it's a very classic song. It's very classic Matchbox 20. At the same time, you couldn't be more collaboratory than you are here. It's not the Rob Thomas show. You know, we're seeing the other band members shine in a way that they haven't before. Of course, they shine when it comes to their own personal instruments. But Kyle Cook is, a musician. He was able to kind of create a solo career. I didn't follow it, but, I heard it, but okay. It does have kind of that rustic, kind of southern rock, old rock kind of feel to it. Sugar is it's got to be my least favorite song on the entire album. And this is why. I know what they were going for when they had this song on the album. It's supposed to be seductive, it's supposed to be sexy, and I believe that that's what they were going for, but they didn't succeed. The lyrics were there, the intention was there, but I didn't feel like it was sexy. I didn't feel like it was, aggressive or seductive. It was just very like, let's add in this song, oh, you taste like sugar. It was a lot more cliche than I would expect. Sleeping at the Wheel was the last song on the album, and it was great. I thought it was another great ballad, and I think this will be a favorite of lots of people's. But as far as ballads come, this was another one that was very folky. I love when they do get very folky and, very acoustic, because it really lets a lot of their instruments shine. Now, if we're going to talk about the Deluxe edition, there were 2 more songs, and I looked them up. I Believe in Everything, I thought was a great song. One opinion I have about B-sides is that they can be better than a lot of the songs of the album and just, not be able to fit, or they could be like, I get why they were B-sides, I know why they were included, because it just didn't go, it didn't work out, wasn't good enough for the album. This one I do think was good enough. It really reminded me of Tabitha's Secret, or early Matchbox 20 when it comes to the sound. Straight for This Life was very stripped and intimate, and I believe this was for kind of the die-hard fans. If you wanted one more ballad, and you bought the Deluxe edition, you got one more ballad that was very stripped down, and it was contemplative, meditative, and that's why I believe it wasn't included on the final album, because it would have slowed the pace down way too much. One thing that I don't like about reviewing albums is that I know that after weeks and months of listening to an album, I'll have a much better opinion. I'll be able to have time to fall in love with songs, to listen to songs over and over, and to really dissect them, and give them a fair amount of time. I usually do a favorite lyric, but I wasn't really able to pick out the lyrics as much as I wanted to. But one of my favorite lyrics in She's So Mean is, she has a hard time coming when she can't hit back. I believe that was a very daring line, because the first time I noticed it was when I heard it on the radio. I probably listened to this song twice before I got the album only. I listened to when the lyrics video came out, when it premiered, and I also heard it on the radio coming back from somewhere, and I recognized it, of course. Can't not recognize Rob Thomas's voice anywhere. But I thought that was a very daring line, and I can't believe that they let it on the radio, but I guess it's because there's no cuss words in it. And I'm not going to say that they didn't mean what I think it to mean, because it has to. That's bullshit. And my favorite song, probably Overjoyed. And my least favorite song I said was, what did I say? Oh, Sugar. Because this is a Wrecked Radio review, you guys review it too. So you tell me your favorite song, your favorite lyric, your least favorite song, what you thought of the album as a whole, overall, blah, blah, blah. And I really want to know. I'm going to read every single comment. I always do, even if I don't comment. I'm seeing your comments. So, have a great night. Peace, love, rock and roll.